Hello there, folks. As you can see, I have my friend Steve Hart with me, and the title of the video is What Do You Want? Steve?
Well, this came on my mind just in the last week or so. In the midst of all this crisis that we're going through right now, I found that a lot of people are still in the middle of confusion, which we talked about in the last interview that I did with you. And I'm going to take you to the conversation I have with a lot of my clients when I'm doing coaching. I ask people, I say, what do you want? And you'd be surprised the number of people that come to me for coaching that do not know what they want. They say, I don't know. You go, what do you want? I don't know. They just know they want something other than what they already have.
If they don't know what they want, they're getting it.
I should make that my new answer. Well, you got what you wanted. No, my job is obviously to help them figure out what it is they want, and I don't know what they want. Only they know what they want. So what I have to do as a coach is I help them by asking better questions. So they ask themselves, because the answer to what they want is within them. It's not in me.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's the key to what I'm going to be talking about here is discovering what it is that you want. And especially in the midst of what's going on here, we are being challenged to ask ourselves, what do you want? Well, here's what you got. Here's what we've had up to this point. So now what do you want? So the sad thing about it is the reason people are stuck in this fact that they don't know what they want is because we've allowed other people to determine that for us, what it is that we want. And, it's almost like we've given consent through our silence or our lack of knowledge of what we really want. When you don't know what you want, you let other people tell you what you want.
Well, actually, silence is considered consent in the legal system.
And that's a good point. In fact, that's the reason why we're treated like slaves right now, is because we don't know who we are and we don't know what we want. Exactly. And that's the reason why those people who know what you just said take advantage of that. They say, well, you don't know what you want, then here, I'm going to tell you what you want. Here's what you're going to do, and you're going to work for me, or you're going to do this for me.
And we don't know who we are. They
become rulers.
We don't have a real idea of who we actually are.
Right.
We have been programmed.
Right. That's exactly right. So there's the conflict, or there's the challenge that we have, is to ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? Because there's a lot of confusion around this in our own minds and in society as a whole. Now, I think there are people out there who do know what they want, and they are creating what they want, because I'm of the opinion that we have the power within us to create what we want. But it starts by first identifying what that is. You have to identify what it is you want, and then you have to begin to clarify what that is. But you have to get clear in your mind and make clear pictures and sound and feelings about what that is. The best way to do that is to identify with words and thoughts what you want. And the more you do that over and over and over again, through that repetition, you actually create an energy or an emotional response within your heart that is capable of creating what you want. See, I'm a firm believer that we have the power to create what we want, but we don't know how to use it, or we have been inability to use it.
Well, you've known me for a long time, and you know what I've felt my purpose is and what I want. I want to see heaven on earth.
Right.
And I want to see, I want to live in an environment where truth is above the lies.
Well, and I've known you long enough to tell you that you have done that. You are doing that. You call people on their authenticity, and you call them when you say, let's be real about this. And then you do preach a message of love, the kingdom of God. And so I think you're already doing that. you just want everybody to share it with you, and they're not all there with you yet.
And that's true.
And we still have a lot of people who think that they have the right to rule over us.
Right.
And I'm going to bring up the dirty word, and that's sovereignty. And I'm a firm believer that we need to get clear about what we want regarding to our sovereignty. We really do need to get clear about that. That there is no person over us, only between us and the Spirit of God, and that's it. Our higher selves. That's all there is. But yet we let other people come in and try to rule over us. We give them consent, and we enslave ourselves.
For example, I just today, and it happens every day, but just today, I have people telling me and being adamant, I will not submit to getting a vaccine. I will not let them vaccinate me.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of people in this country, and I think around the world, that realize that this is a very big danger as who wants to give us vaccinations and what's in them.
Right.
So
a lot of people
it's a dilemma that we are being forced to face.
Well, that's the thing. It's one thing to have the vaccine. It's another thing to force it upon you, where it becomes mandatory. And we need to be able to have the right to refuse it, And so there are those people who want to take it. That's up to them. They can make that choice, and they do so. And then we need to have the right to refuse the vaccine.
Well, you do understand that some people say that that the shots is somehow related to the mark of the beast. You and I both have known that since we were little.
True. Yeah. Of course, what I used to believe when I was younger is not what I believe today is what that means, but it does play into the idea of control. I mean, they want to be able to track us. And right now they use this phone to track us. I mean, I was shocked when I realized that you can go on Google and you can go to a particular website and it will show you map-wise everywhere you've been in the last month or 2 months or 3 months ago. You can actually.
I didn't know that, but then again, I don't carry my cell phone with me.
That's true. You don't. That's right. Yeah.
I do keep one in the car. That I haven't
had to
pay for 3 years or more.
If your phone number is tied into Google, then they will be able to track your phone number and tell you everywhere you've gone in your car.
Well, the one I keep in my house, it doesn't leave my desk.
I posted on my Facebook page a map yesterday of all the people in the United States who have gone outside of their home and traveled. And what the map is, it's by state, and they give density. So in some areas of the country, people travel a lot. Up in Pennsylvania and New York and up in those areas, people are not traveling much. It was not as dense in the picture. So it was very interesting that they had this data available to them on this map.
Wow.
So they do want to track us, yes. And here again, do we want that? Is that what you want?
Well, for me, it's a malevolent agenda, which you know that I see it that way.
Yeah, of course. But see, people have to decide what they do want, what they don't want. And people are asking me already, how can I get around this vaccine? Can you, if it's mandatory, what are we going to do? And so I understand the question. And first you have to decide whether or not you want it or don't want it. And that's a good example. But my point I'm making today is that the fact is we can create what we want. Now, let me just give you a couple analogies here. You look in a mirror and you see a reflection of yourself, and it's not really you, but the reflection you're seeing is a projection of you onto the mirror. We do this in multiple ways in our society. If you write a book, you are reflecting your thoughts onto a paper or digitally. And when we would read the newspaper, it's basically news and stories of a society collectively. So now you've got a book is one thing for you wrote the book. If now you write the newspaper and publish it, it's a collection of thoughts. So we as society have created a collection of a mirroring of who we are. Okay? And then the next step is the TV. The television is nothing but a reflection of who we are and what it is that we want. Why do we spend so many hours in front of the TV
I
consuming
don't.
all? Yeah, I don't either. But the point, but what a lot of people do, and because that's all they know, they're giving that consent to be able to be programmed. It's TV programming, and so it's television. So telling the vision of what they want to you, television.
And you're getting their spin on everything, and it's not your own internal
Right.
choice.
Right. But it is a reflection. It is a reflection of our society. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any interest in it. So there's parts of us that have an interest in it. That's why we've got so many channels today. Back when we were kids, we only had 3 or 4 channels. Now we've got multiple hundreds of channels to watch because there are parts of us. So we're so diverse in our society. So I'm talking about collective now, and then we go to the internet. You got movies. Movies is another one, and then internet. The internet is nothing but a reflection of the collective of everybody having a desire to communicate and interact with one another. So the TV and movies, we couldn't do that, and newspapers. So now we're interacting with people. So it's a live interaction, a live mirror of who we are as a society, and it's really a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's awesome. The question is, what is it? Are we mirroring? Are we mirroring what we want, or are we letting the mirror tell us what we want?
Well, you do realize, and I know you do, that the powers that want to keep being powers over us, now that like Google and Facebook and some of the social media, they're actually blocking a lot of people.
Yes, yeah, it's very interesting
And
what's
so
happening.
that's why people are starting to go to some alternative things, which I've been advised over and over again. But I still only am on Google and Facebook.
So now the next question, Ron, is: do we have the power to create what we want? Are we capable of doing that? And I know you have your questions about that, and I do too. Don't get me wrong. I've had my own challenges about what I thought I could create and are still working on. But I'm going to take you back, and for those of you who believe in the teachings of Jesus, when Jesus was with his disciples, at one point the story goes he was hungry, and he went over to this fig tree because he saw the leaves on there and figured he'd get some figs, and there were no figs on the tree. And he said to the tree, "You will no longer feed anyone." So in a sense, he cursed the tree. Well, shortly after that, his disciples were walking by the tree the next day, and they noticed the tree was withering up, and they noticed that the tree had been, we'll use the word cursed, as the scripture makes reference to. The word curse in the Greek means you're doomed. You're now doomed to fulfill whatever it is has been spoken. And so when you curse somebody, that's what you're doing. You're dooming them to whatever your intention is or whatever it is you want. So we do have power in our words, okay? And shortly right after that scripture, let me turn to that part of I want to read it because I want to make sure I get it correct. So I'm going to read some of it. Jesus is now quoting. We hear the scripture. He said, "Have faith in God. Verily I say unto you that whoever shall say to this mountain, be removed." You've heard this before, and believe those things which he has said will come to pass, and you will have whatsoever you saith. Therefore I say unto you, whosoever desire, pray, believe that you shall receive, and you shall have them. And he goes on, talks about praying, and then he says, when you stand praying, forgive if you have aught against your brother, then forgive your brother, and so forth. But so he's basically, if you see what he's doing, he's tying it all together and talk about our words, the fact that we have power within our words. So the key words that he is bringing out, at least the way I see it, is he's saying stand on what you believe, forgive yourself and forgive others for whatever angst you have, because that interferes with the flow of energy through your thoughts. Unforgiveness is a sickness. It really is a sickness. And then he says commit, or rather he said believe, and the word believe in the Greek means to commit to. So commit to whatever it is you believe. Wrong or right, it doesn't make any difference. But if you commit to what you believe, then you will receive it. Now the word receive in the Greek means to take. You have to take it. So you can't be going, oh God, please help me and help me do this, and I want this. And that's not real prayer. Real prayer is actually, let me ask this: what's the difference between an asking and commanding? There's the question. To ask and command. Now you don't get the right to command unless you have the authority, right?
Well, it does say, command me concerning the work of my hands. That's supposedly from God.
And that supports what I'm saying. The fact that we do have the right to command, but we have to be standing in authority, and the only authority, as I just mentioned, in sovereignty is our direct line to spirit, to our higher self. So we have to first be able to be committed to and be able to know how to take what it is that we are asking. And then he also mentioned without doubt.
That becomes more and more impossible or implausible.
Okay,
I'm not saying it's an absolute, but it becomes more and more difficult because all of us, well, at least from my personal experience, we have wanted many things and asked for many things that did not happen. You didn't choose to have the problem with your foot and everything. You didn't choose that, but it happened. You didn't.
Well, no, wait. You need to hear what I have to say about that.
All right, go ahead.
6 months before that all came about, I had decided I was going to reprogram my consciousness that I was of perfect health. That's what and I actually put it on a sign above my office. Okay. I am perfect health is what it said. And then when I went to bed, I programmed my subconscious, I am perfect health. So I was doing that. And so then what happens 6 months later, this infection shows up, this in my foot. I had this infection long before I started making these commands. Okay. And I believe that everything that happened that evolved was all about me getting my body back in order. I had to get rid of that infection. I had to get rid of this hole I had in my toe at the time, due to the poor circulation in my legs. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I think I did bring about the surgery that I had, because now there's no hole in my toe, like there was. So now,
there's no toe.
Right. The point I'm making is we don't realize the power in our words. And I asked myself the question you're asking about why is it that I can think of other things that I have spoken that have yet to come, but they don't happen instantly. When we make a command and when we take that stand and a commitment for something to happen, we don't always get to take it right away. But I'm ready to take whatever it is mine, that I believe is mine, when it presents itself to me. But there is a buffer. And I'm telling you, I think this buffer is there for a reason. This buffer of time is there to keep us from destroying ourselves. Because if everything that came out of my mouth, every thought that came to my mind, that I blurted out, came true, I could probably do a lot of damage. I hope not.
Well, there are people on the planet that are doing a lot of damage from my perspective.
Well, only if we let them. You're right, they are.
How do we stop them? I mean, I hug my tree every day and I say, take all my problems and my worries and ground them and let my aspirations rise up into the heavens. That's my hugging tree prayer, and I do it every day.
But like Ron, I know you well. I know, and I know you well enough that if somebody, and it has happened to you, when someone tries to suppress you or assert authority over you, you speak your truth. You stand up and you speak out, and so you don't commit yourself to silence. You actually speak up and you don't enslave yourself. That they treat you like a slave. They want to treat you like a slave, and they have threatened your sovereignty. And you got stories that you've shared with your audiences. If they've not heard your story, go back and watch your old videos, because I was around when some of that stuff happened, and I saw what you were going through, and I got a great education from that too, because I remember some of the discussions that you and I had about the sovereignty issue. Now, there's let me explain. There's a difference between sovereignty in our mind and sovereignty in our spirit, in our heart, and the two have to come in. They have to come in harmony with one another. Well, what I'm trying to say is, you were taught it was a good idea to not carry your driver's license, right? Okay, that's okay. I believe that's fair. That we don't have to carry a driver's license just to drive around, based upon what we know about common law. But it's a whole other thing to be able to live that out. So here we are, we're in this world, even though we don't want to be a part of this world, or we're in this matrix or the world system, and we know we don't want to be a part of it, or we don't feel, because the old saying is, I'm just a stranger in a strange land. This is not my home. This is not where I was created. I'm just coming here to visit, to be a part of this matrix. And while I'm here, I think I have the power to create. Now, whether or not I take up that power and do anything with it, that's up to me. Because whatever it is I experience, I'm creating one way or another, by either negligence or by intention.
Mm. The dilemma, or the
Yes.
paradox.
And I know this is not for everybody to hear. A lot of people are thinking you're freaking crazy. You need to come to reality. And I understand the opposition that we often. Was it Einstein saying, reality is an illusion, but it's a stubborn one?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how it went? Something along those lines. I'm not.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's albeit a persistent one, I think was the way.
Persistent ones. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, we have to give ourselves grace and love ourselves, learn how to connect with the divine within us. It's not all something in our head. It's actually comes from the heart. This is what I'm talking about. And what we want, and the reason people, when they can't answer that question, when I ask you, what is it you want? They're coming from here. When they come from the heart, I can tell when I ask the question, when I get an answer, whether or not they know what they want. And when people know what they want, then they know how to stand, believe, and receive, and they don't doubt. They don't doubt it. They actually move forward. But usually, when they're at that stage, they don't need me to help them, and I just become an encouragement to them. So that's what we're doing with one another, is we're actually helping each other and trying to understand what it is that we want. Because right now we're being presented with some chaotic situations that we don't know what we want until we have to work through it. And it's important that we talk about this, that we actually have discussions with other people. But what have they done? They separated us. They put us.
Yeah, and
so we can't.
So many of the people voluntarily, some not voluntarily, but most voluntarily give up their right to assemble and worship God with their church or their spiritual organization, whatever. I mean, so many just simply acquiesce to the system.
That's true, but I hope that changes as a result of what's happening.
A lot of people seem to.
I hope they don't have church like they used to have it. I hope they have church, which is a little bit more interactive, one-on-one group discussions, that type of thing. Having someone stand up in front and to tell me, I don't mind listening to someone's message and so forth, but we've got stuck in this rut about what we think church is. And if you go back and really look at the Bible and the New Testament, in the book of Acts, and how they lived out their church, it was not quite the same as what we have evolved in, what we call church today. So I'm hoping some of that changes, and not just church, but any gathering. I don't care what it is.
Well, it's more like the Mennonites, or not the Quakers so much, I don't think, but the Mennonites have a community, and church used to be a community that supported each other. We've moved away from that. Now it's a meeting that we go to once a week, or twice a week or whatever.
Well, you know some of my story, and that is back in 1972, New Year's Day. I went to this, what was called a Jesus house. It was not a church. It was just a house that was known where they talk about Jesus. And when I started going there, I went there for almost 3 years every night. And we would be there for hours on end. It was a community thing. There was a core of people that would go there every night. And then there were times when that house was so packed, there was no place to sit down. It was, what they called the Jesus movement. And it was amazing what was happening. I mean, I saw miracles. I saw some unbelievable expressions of God. And the love, I mean, that's when I was really touched by the Spirit of God. I was flooded with love like I'd never had experienced before in my life. So what I'm trying to say is we need to find our spirituality in a new way. So whatever it takes, I'm believing that this shift that we're going through, which is happening worldwide, is going to change things. And we're not going to be exactly the way we used to be. And all for the better, all for the better. I believe every conflict, every challenge that we have, be it my surgery or whatever it is I'm having and my problems with, that it's nothing to help wake me up and expand my consciousness. That's the way I look at it. Every conflict I have.
Well, the light is beaming out from you behind you.
Yeah, my lamp back here. Yeah, I noticed.
Oh, wow. When you leaned back, I saw the sun even.
Well, I hope that what I've shared today is going to inspire someone just to kind of ask themselves, what do they want? And sit down in some meditation. And what I do is I ask myself, what do you want? And then I give an answer. And then I ask it again, what do you want? And I try to give a different answer or alter the answer a little bit. Because the more you keep asking, eventually your spirit will answer for you. You got to get past this and into your heart. And when you can do that, then you're going to start getting some real answers about what it is you want.
Well,
I'd like
to see this and this merge and have a divine marriage of the mind and the
Well, that's exactly what we want. Sure. In these bodies, we want the merge of the heart and the mind. Yes. No question about it. But right now, we've not been skilled enough to do that. Now, we're learning. I think we are. You and I mean, you have touched me deeply in my heart and in my mind. I remember meeting in your house, 12 years ago, or how many, no, more than that. And we would, every Wednesday night we got together in your home, and we were all challenged by some kind of information, something you brought us, and then the group of people that met there. I'm still close friends with not only you, but some of the other people in that group, So
yeah, me too.
That's important. Yeah, that's important.
Okay, well, I do thank you. It's good connecting again, and it looks like I'm going to be making videos possibly be making videos with other people for a little while. Certainly more often than I have been in the more recent past. So that's a good thing. And by the way, the man from Africa, I mean, he sent me a whole bunch of pictures. He wanted to post them on my Facebook page, but people aren't allowed to post on my page. But he sent me picture after picture of interactions with all the children and yet I've had some of our spiritual friends that and that I've known for years call it a scam. Why are you supporting a scam in Africa? It's not a scam. And he sent the legal paperwork. He even sent me copies of the legal documents. Oh, It
appears we're having a bad connection here, so I don't want to lose you.
Okay, well, time is the 30 minutes is just about up anyway, so.
Okay.
So
I just got to notice it.
Okay, well, I do thank you, and
yes, I appreciate you.
Maybe I'll be making a video with one of our other friends tomorrow.
I look forward to seeing it.
We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, and namaste.
Bye-bye. Namaste.